We're hearing this morning that more spending, more stimulus, more legislation is going to be on the way here very soon. Now, I've got the video footage and the articles to get you caught up on the latest. This is your breaking news, stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Now, first off, hope that you and the family are having a blessed Saturday. And we now have 4,400 people that are interested in knowing about every stimulus check across the nation that's available right now for states, cities, and counties. I'm going to keep you up to date if you're interested as well. Don't miss out, because a lot of people don't know that there's tons of checks available right now on these various levels. And for most of them, you got to apply, and they're only available for a limited amount of time. So if you don't want to miss out right now, if you haven't already, go to www.reliefroadmap.com, put in your email, hoping to get that comprehensive list out here to you guys very soon. Now, also hope that you guys are having a blessed Saturday. Let's get you caught up on the latest. So, headlines coming out like this. Take a look. This is not what I asked you. Fox News Cavuto interjects after Representative Ro Khanna dodges on a recession. Now, I've got the video footage for you as he's asked, is there currently a recession taking place right now? We've had 2 quarters of receding GDP, and he says, I'm going to let the economists decide. Now, we also heard from the president who said, listen, we've got the data, listed off all of this stuff and said, listen, doesn't sound like a recession to me. Walks off and says, listen, our economy is doing a lot better than people are reporting. We're actually doing just fine. However, we're hearing that that is not the case across the board. There's a lot of people concerned, and inflation is out of control. We just heard that Joe Manchin and Schumer, they've agreed upon the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. If you missed that video, be sure to check it out right after this one. And they're saying they're going to get this done before the midterm elections. They're going to have that as a win, they're saying, on their record right before people vote in these upcoming elections. Now, also, you guys, we've heard that this, once it passes, is going to be sparking a chain reaction of events, of legislation, executive actions coming through. And like I said, all right before those midterm elections, before voters hit the polls, so it's fresh in their minds. And we're hearing the first one is going to be coming up here very soon. Take a look. Executive actions. Will Biden forgive more than $10,000 in student loans? Education Department prepares just in case, as we're hearing that this deadline, it's going to be August 31st. So he's saying there is going to be action coming up here in this upcoming month, as today is July 30th. So we're going to be hearing an announcement from the president here very soon. I will let you guys know what's going to be unfolding. Now, as I mentioned, I got some video footage for you. We're going to hear directly from Representative Ro Khanna on what's happening with the Inflation Reduction Act. He is directly asked, so more spending is how we're going to fix this inflationary problem that has been caused by more spending. And he's going to say, well, listen, we're going to be taxing the wealthy. We're going to be getting money from them, and we're going to make sure that we're actually going to reduce the deficit. And he's going to say, listen, we've had a lot of legislation in the past that they've said this was going to happen, and it has never worked. Why is it different this time? And we actually have seen now circulating clips of former President Obama, who has said you should never increase taxes during a recession, and that is exactly what's being proposed. But this time, Democrats are saying that it is going to be helping to fight inflation. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, you guys, but let's go ahead and take a look at the video footage as we're going to be seeing Ro Khanna grilled on Fox. Now, before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates keeping you up to speed, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for me. It helps out the channel a ton. Thank you guys so much. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Leave your comments. Let me know, what do you think is going to be unfolding with our economy? If this passes, is it going to be helping? Is it going to be adding even more so to inflation? Is there going to be executive actions? Let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of people are waiting for those 4th federal level stimulus checks. And if you missed my last video on it, be sure to check it out as I let you know that we're hearing that all these provisions, they're coming back to the negotiating table right now. Now, I'm going to keep you up to date on that. And again, if you want to stay up to date, it's totally free to turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, if you want to learn about growing wealth and personal finance, consider joining that channel as well. And again, as I mentioned, if you haven't already, go to www.reliefroadmap.com. Simply put in your email to be notified and to get access to the comprehensive list of all checks on all levels, working away every day to get that for you guys so you don't miss out on anything. But with that being said, let's take a look at this video footage of what Ro Khanna has to say.
All right, you heard about this congressional baseball game tonight, and some climate activists and protesters are expected to sort of make their presence known. Wonder what Ro Khanna thinks about that. The California Democrat sits on the House Oversight Committee, House Armed Services Committee. Good to see you, Congressman. It's been a while. Are you at the game tonight as either a player or a watcher?
I'm going to go as a fan. I used to grow up going to the Vet, watching Phillies games, and now I go to the Giants, so I'm excited about watching tonight.
Okay. These protesters are going to be there, climate activists and the like. They just got a huge gift, right, with this cobbled-together Schumer-Manchin deal that will address a lot of their concerns. So are they just wasting their time? What do you think?
Well, I think the activism around the country is one of the reasons we have the deal, and it's a great deal for the country. I mean, it's going to unleash trillions of private dollar spending. That's what people are missing. But the venture capital, the private sector is going to put trillions of dollars now because of the clean tech tax cuts into a renewable moonshot. And I think this is going to be transformative. We're going to be making this stuff in the United States. It's great. I hope the climate activists will celebrate some of what it could get done.
You know, spending kind of got us in this pickle. Are you concerned that, you know, putting it on warp speed here is just going to make things worse?
No, for two reasons, Neil. One, the trillions that I'm talking about is actually incentivizing the private sector to spend over the years. It's not government spending. Two, the person who's in the room cutting this deal is Joe Manchin, and he's been talking about inflation from day one. He's got provisions in this bill to lower the deficit. There are provisions in there to lower prescription drug costs. There are increases of taxes that are deflationary. Larry Summers has
wait a minute. You've got a lot of taxes in here on corporations, say the super wealthy and all of that. How is raising taxes on anyone in an environment like this ever beneficial?
Well, because it's anti-inflationary, because it lowers the deficit and it means that the Fed has to buy less.
Do you really think this is going to lower the deficit, Congressman?
It's $300 billion, as I understand the framework, is going to be put towards deficit reduction.
I can put a framework and say I'm going to lose, 10 pounds. And then people say, well, Neil, you need to lose 50. I guess what I'm saying here is this is not the first time a program has been introduced as paying for itself and then some. Not a one ever has. So what makes you think this is going to be different?
Two things, Neil. One, Larry Summers, who, as you would acknowledge, has been the biggest voice against inflation, says this bill is a good bill, that this is going to lower the deficit, it is going to lower inflation. And Joe Manchin would never sign on something that was inflationary. I mean, he has been unwilling to sign on to any of the bigger packages. And so I think this is a bill that is focused on lowering prescription drug costs, focusing on increasing taxes on corporations that aren't paying them, and making fundamental investments in clean technology.
All right, let's say it does all of that in an environment right now where inflation is still a problem, and the administration is making the same pitch that you just did there. But the administration's track record on everything from we're not in a recession to discovering we are, to inflation being transitory, to discovering that it's not. I mean, you can understand why the American people are saying, I don't know, right?
I get it. That's why I invoke Larry Summers, because he was not for some of the earlier spending. He has been correct about inflation, and he is saying that he has looked at this bill and he believes that this is the right economic policy. And
so
Joe
you're hooking
Manchin
all of this on Larry
credible.
Summers, and then if he likes it, you like it. The fact of the matter is, it's a lot of spending with money we don't have. Of course, that's not new, but on top of spending we've already seen, why sort of poke the beast here? I mean, inflation's been beastly.
But a lot of this is lowering costs, right? I mean, lowering medical costs and prescription drug costs, that by definition is lowering inflation.
If it ever comes to pass. If it ever comes to pass, right?
Yeah, having investments and making things in America, that's better than having it shipped across the ocean. That's going to lower costs. Having tax revenue be put towards lowering deficits, that's going to mean less federal borrowing. That's going to lower costs. So this is not some big social spending bill.
Right. Well,
this is a very targeted
bill. We can maybe just see this differently, and I respect your opinion on a lot of things, Congressman, but we're going to be hearing from the president in a little under 2 minutes, and he is going to probably talk a little bit more about what you just did, but he is also, no doubt, going to have to address this GDP report that came out. As you know, it was negative. So technically, by the classic definition, we're in a recession. Do you agree with that we are officially in a recession?
Well, it's the economists who officially declared that. I will acknowledge that GDP growth has slowed and that we're in a difficult economic time. And I'll acknowledge that we have inflation and we've got the Fed increasing interest rates. It didn't
just slow, it contracted. It went the other way. So it wasn't slowing, it was contracting. So we've had two back-to-back quarters of that. That is the classic, you're quite right, not the only definition of a recession. But do you, when you go back to your constituents, acknowledge, guys, we're in a recession. We're going to get out of it, but we're in a recession right now. What do you tell them?
You know, my constituents actually are more concerned about the gas prices, about food prices, about airlines getting canceled, about the baby shortage, food shortage. And so what I tell them is that we have to lower prices, and this bill that we're going to pass will help do that.
So they don't think sir, wait a minute, they don't think we're in a recession? I mean, you must have a very low
I think, you know, but ordinary folks, I think, are more concerned about the cost of living because the job numbers are still pretty good. And
indeed they are. You're right about that. I'm jumping on you, Congressman. The president is speaking right now.
So there you have it, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, one of the things that I thought was important was that we heard Ro Khanna say this is not a major social spending bill. And that's exactly right. It's not. A lot of the direct assistance payments, the stimulus checks, the child tax credits, the provisions like that were going to put money into the pockets of people, they have been stripped out of this bill. This bill no longer has direct payments for people. It's going to be stimulating the economy, helping out with an assortment of different things, but they're pretty much saying it's an Inflation Reduction Act. And all of those things that we had seen in there before, that progressives and Democrats wanted to include. They wanted to have monthly reoccurring checks and all those things. They wanted this to be $6, $7, $10 trillion of spending. It's been whittled down to under $1 trillion. And now we're hearing that all those provisions that people wanted to see, they're either going to have to come through another reconciliation bill, another piece of legislation, or through executive actions by the president. Now, we're hearing that this all is going to be ramping up and likely coming back to the forefront here right before these elections, and we will see you guys whatever happens. I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel, but as you can see, there is a lot unfolding right now. Things are really starting to pick up the pace as we get closer to these elections, and we have the August recess upon us right now. So, you guys, I will keep you up to date every step of the way, but that is the latest, and as always, thank you so much for joining me here on the channel. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button. Also, let me know your thoughts on everything they discussed in the comments down below. Share this out if you think it could help out other people. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. And turn on that notification bell. Any specific questions for me, and like I said, www.reliefroadmap.com. Enter your email today to get access to that comprehensive stimulus checklist that's going to be coming out here very soon. Hoping to make sure to get that so you don't miss out on anything. But with that being said, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. Have a blessed Saturday.